Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're out the range with a handgun that is made by CZ. It's the Model 97 BD, and it's provided to us by our friends over at Big Daddy Unlimited. If you haven't checked them out, please swing by and do so. I can't put a link down below, but what I can do is put a link over on our website, which is militaryarmschannel.org or militaryarms.org. Swing by there, click that button, get 20% off your membership, but the first month you can try out for just 99 cents. And basically, it's like Flannel Daddy would say, it's the Costco of the gun world. Once you get inside, you're basically cutting out the middleman. You can get firearms like this at extremely discounted prices. So please check them out and support them because they support us here at the Military Arms Channel. With this firearm comes no requests for positives or negative reviews, but it is a CZ, so hopefully it works for us this afternoon. This is the first time we fired it, and we're just going to see how she runs. Now, you may notice that it looks like a bigger version of a standard CZ. So what I have here, I believe, is the SP01 Tactical with the long dust cover and rail on the bottom. And you can see how it stacks up size-wise to the 97 BD. So this 97 BD has aluminum grip panels on it with the CZ logo in them. Has the tritium night sights. They are fixed, but windage adjustable. And this one has the hammer drop safety function. And pretty much all the controls, everything about it is just like a CZ75. So what we're going to do today is do some shooting with this, see how she works. We have some Federal ammunition. It's Federal black box ammo. And we'll be trying some of this stuff out. We just got it in. We want to thank our friends over at Federal for supporting us here at the channel with the ammunition. And the magazines hold 10 rounds. We're shooting some 230 grain ball. Let's see how she does. Okay. First 10 rounds. I am in love with this thing. Holy cow. It shoots right to point of aim. That target down range is just a little over 10 yards. And the recoil impulse is really, really light. It does not feel like my 1911s I like to carry, especially in the wintertime. Gotta try one more magazine. Holy smokes, is that cool. That double action and the single action on this thing are really, really nice. I pulled that one high. Wow. Okay, I'm happy. Let's keep shooting it and see how she works. Let's put a couple hundred rounds through it this afternoon. We'll break it down, show you what it looks like on the inside, and go over some of the other features on the handgun. The weapon right now is loaded with a round in the chamber and 9 rounds in the magazine. If you take a look at the top of the slide, you're going to see a little steel pin protruding, which you can feel. When the gun's empty, that pin sets flush, so it won't be visible and you won't have a tactile response there. So it gives you a visual indication that the weapon is loaded and also a tactile indication that the weapon's loaded. You don't find that on your standard CZ75 based handguns. So that is in addition to the 97. All right, do some more shooting with this bad boy. The recoil impulse, guys, in this thing is just so mild. It's so much softer shooting than my 1911s. Oops. Yeah, it's cold today. Yeah, it's a neat feeling gun. Now, you'll notice that it has really narrow grips on it. I've seen these before. The first time I had a chance to shoot one was many years ago when Corey and Erica were still doing a channel, and they had their first YouTube shoot event. And Eric, from Iraq Veteran, brought one of these out and let me shoot it. It had wooden grips on it. and they were thicker than this. This thing is very narrow with these aluminum grips. And it just feels really, really good. Now you'll notice it's a little bit thicker than a 9mm version, but for my big hands, it actually feels pretty good. You will find, though, I think most folks are going to have a hard time reaching that slide stop, slide release with their thumb. I can barely reach it. I have to break my grip and rotate the gun to do it. So if I have to do that with my Yeti hands, which are huge, then you're not going to be able to do that, which I'm able to fix that when I load up the magazines again. I'll show you how I operate a handgun, so that is not a factor. What I like about it is it's out of the way, so when you're shooting with a two-handed hold, your thumbs come nowhere near that slide stop, and you're not going to accidentally keep it from not locking open when that last shot fired. Let's take a look inside of the box. Most CZ pistols these days come in a box that looks just like this. And as Jason pointed out, which I thought was kind of funny, is these are kind of a pain in the rear end. You'll open up your box by flipping these two tabs up and you'll think, okay, why won't my box open? And you'll pry and you'll pry and you'll pry. And if you look right there, it says push. If you pinch it right there, it opens right up. I won't tell you how long it took me to figure that out. All right, so inside the box, you're going to find your owner's manual tucked in this little slot here, a pistol lock, a bushing wrench, and yes, I'll explain that here in a moment, the pistol, a magazine, and another magazine in the gun, a cleaning rod and brush tucked into the handle here. All right, let's take the pistol out. Let's take a look inside the gun, because it is a little bit different than your standard CZ75. You'll notice I said bushing. Nicely painted table there. All right, so to take this bad boy apart, we're going to start by taking the magazine out. Your magazine release is right where you'd expect it to be. Going to go ahead and make sure the weapon is empty, which it is. Now, all CZ75s, or in that series, because this isn't a 75 obviously, but it's based on it, you have a tick mark right here on the slide, and you have a tick mark here on the frame. It's kind of obscured on this model by the decocker. So if I pull it down a little bit, you'll see that little tick mark. What you need to do is line those two lines up like that. And once you do that, now you can pull the cross pin out. So I kind of hold the slide like this, and this pin is a little bit tight. You have a pin right there on the side of the gun. You're going to push on that, keeping those lines aligned, and pop that pin out. And this sucker is tight. All right. And you grab it and pull that bad boy out. And it is important you keep those lined up while you do this. My goodness, that thing's in there. All right, well, that's tighter than my other CZ75s. Got the pin out. Now, once you have the pin out, you can pull the slide off the frame. Now, if you take a look inside the frame, it's just like other 75 models or guns that are based on it. It has internal slide rails that are full length. So the slide rides inside the frame, not outside the frame, like on popular pistols, such as the Glock and 1911, and just name just about anything, Smith & Wesson. So it actually rides inside. I'm going to set this aside. We have a recoil spring and polymer guide rod here. Pull that out. It's not captive, so be careful when you do it. Now you'll notice there's a part here that you've not seen on a 75 series handgun. And it's this little plug, okay? If you look at the front of the slide, here's your bushing. When I insert the plug, you'll notice how it lines up and keeps that bushing in place. So I found you don't really need the wrench. Take that out. And now to get your barrel out, you can't lift it out because of that bushing. It locks up tight. You're going to have to unthread it. And that just means unscrew this bad boy. And once you get it unscrewed, there you have it. Now you can push your barrel forward and take it out. All right, so everything else is pretty much standard CZ75-ish. You have a steel frame and a steel slide. You do have a drop safety on the firing pin, so the firing pin can't make contact with the primer unless the trigger's pulled. And there you see those full-length slide rails. To put it back together again, you have to put the barrel in first and then the bushing. And you want to take care not to cross thread this, guys, because that would be a bad thing to do. screw that little devil down and get it kind of flush. And it may or may not, you don't have to over tighten it. So right there, it's kind of stopping. I could turn it more, but I don't want to do that. I'm just going to back it off a little bit so that that notch in the bushing lines up with the plug that I'm going to insert now, okay? You'll know if you have it together wrong if you have a gap here. If this sits out like this, your bushing's not seated properly, okay? Take your spring and guide rod, stick that back in there, put your slide back on the frame, pull it back to those 2 lines, take your cross pin, make sure you have everything lined up, and just push it through. And the gun is back together. Now, one thing I highly recommend you do not do with the CZ75 is have the slide lock to the rear with no magazine inserted or an empty magazine inserted, no round, and drop that slide. Because just like any handgun that relies on a cross pin, 1911, Browning high power this, the more you do that, the more likely it is you're going to break that cross pin. You put a lot of stress on that cross pin when you drop the slide without a round in it. So don't do that. Always ease the slide forward on these if it's not loaded. All right, let's do some more shooting. So this is how I load most every handgun that I fire. Now you'll notice, first of all, there is no magazine flare on the pistol grip here. It's just straight cut. But the magazines find their way home fairly easily. Now I was going to show you my reload. That was not a planned reload. So I just learned something about this. I smacked that thing home to get it past the magazine catch, and it dropped the slide. So on the next attempt to reload, I'll try to show you how I use this to reload, or how I do my reloads. All right, let's try this one more time. I am not shooting all that well today. All right. Push that round back into the magazine, insert the magazine. For whatever reason, those magazines are hanging up, so I don't like that. I just noticed that. Only on the first time. Now it goes right in. All right, so here's how I load it. That's weird. We have to try that again, see if we can cause that same type of issue. Insert the magazine, reach up with the thumb, and then load the pistol that way. All right. All right, let's load my whopping 2 magazines up again. See if I have that issue with it resisting the insertion of the magazine. That was weird. Did it with 2 mags. Let's go ahead and see if we have a problem with the insertion again here. All right, so it's resisting. I tapped it that time, not very hard, and it went right in. And then on the second attempt, it goes right in. Can't figure that one out. All right. That magazine went right in. All right, so those sights are nice, big, and easy to pick up. You have those forward slide serrations, so you can do your press checks if you want to, if you're that type of person that does that. You can also run the gun from up front if you want to. I know some folks like to do that. The big sights are really, really nice, and the ergonomics feel like a CZ. And again, that little extra length actually feels better in my hand than a standard CZ75, and I'm really liking those aluminum thin grips. Sharp looking gun, has a typical CZ finish on it, which is just kind of an epoxy type, Cerakote-ish type finish. Looks really, really sharp. So the magazine sticking was driving us nuts. We wanted to find out what was causing that, because sometimes it would happen and other times it wouldn't. And we discovered that if the round was slightly forward in the magazine, even that far, it wouldn't cause a problem. It would go straight into the gun without any additional force. However, when we push the round completely back and we go to insert the magazine, it stops right there. And then we looked inside, and you'll see the rim hanging up on this block. Now this block is held in place by the pin that the decocker rides on, and that rim is riding on it. You'll see a brass mark where the round rides up past it. So if you kind of hit it and it goes right past it, but when it does that, what it's doing is hitting the rim of the case and moving it slightly forward in the magazine. Again, push it all the way to the back. Magazine does not want to go in. We were having some luck earlier, like wiggling the magazine, but to get it to go in, you tap it, and it moves that round forward in the magazine because it's hitting that block. Now, I don't know if that's a feature of all of these, but I mean, it won't inhibit a reload, but it will cause you, it caused me one time to think the magazine was seated and then go to fire, and there was click, no bang. So you do want to make sure that you seat the magazines if you have a 97 that does that. I don't know that they all do, but there doesn't appear to be any defective part in there. And maybe they all do it. I don't know, but there you guys go. That's why it's sticking sometimes and other times it wasn't. The one thing that I can ding the CZ97 BD for is the fact that sometimes you have to hit that magazine a little harder to get it past that hump of that block in the lower receiver. Now, we compared it to this 9mm pistol. I have this round pushed all the way to the rear, and when I insert it into the gun, it goes right past that block. It's identical to the 45 design, just smaller, and it doesn't hang up with the 9mm. So I don't know if mine is just slightly out of spec or if all the 97s are like that. It doesn't inhibit the function of the gun, but it can cause a bad reload, under stress perhaps. Love the way this thing shoots. What a great shooting pistol. This bad boy seems like those issues are becoming fewer and far between, so it may wear in. But yeah, like I said, that's about the only thing I can ding it for. All right, well guys, we're going to wrap things up. If you'd like to support us here at the Military Arms channel, you can do that by swinging by Patreon. We have a link down below. We're supported by you, the viewer, and not by the gun companies. So CZ isn't paying for this video, and that's how we can give you honest information about firearms. Also, swing by and check out the little join button. You're already checking it out if you're watching the video because it's right below the video player. That join button, that's another option to support us here at the Military Arms channel. Click that little join button, see what some of the perks are, and consider becoming part of our membership program here on YouTube. And last but not least, please swing by and check out coppercustom.com. Guys, thanks for 12 years of support. We'll talk to you guys soon.